ritualistic moment that's taking place because you were encouraged to, or you think it's the good thing to do. It's actually the transformation of the next phase of what God's going to use you for. And so you're sowing, and you're going in a state where you don't have all the answers. You're not really at a position where you might understand everything. But when you come up, you're coming up in this resurrection power that now your life is going to manifest God in a whole new level and a whole new position that you have never experienced before. And so what I want to say just in finalizing, we good to go soon? We're good? Is this: those who are going to get baptized today, and I believe there's quite a number of young ones, I'm excited about this because you've probably not timed it, but it's a divine or kairos moment that's taking place where you're ready to be baptized, but you're in, as Harley mentioned so beautifully, is that we're in a transition period from a certain era into a new era. And we are, as the church, the new era. The new era, like I said the other day, it's not something we observe, a building, a new way of doing things. The new era is the eruption of sons onto the scene and that resurrection power. So I'm looking forward to that today at 1 p.m. It's going to be a hallmark moment.
Audience with you before many others. We take it as a privilege. Many others. We take it as a privilege. Sometimes almost embarrassed. Because why us? Why you? Well, that is the divine treatment, selection. The way that you choose is never the way that man chooses. Highly unlikely that he would choose you or me before a whole lot of others. But he has. And all we can say today is, thank you, Lord, for choosing me. Amen? Turn to your neighbor and say, you're chosen. Let's give the Lord a great hand. Come on. Put your hands together. Thank you, Jesus. All right. Thank you very much, team. That's awesome. Well, as it's been said, the notices and everything else, have a seat, please. Yeah, you're good. That's great. That the big conference is coming. I even heard from overseas that they know about it. It's funny, how stuff gets out. But I'll talk a little bit more about something from overseas, because some of you might have been aware I had an interview yesterday from a guy named Adnan Makuk. Yeah, he's a man who runs a television ministry out of Houston in Texas. And it's got a lot of platforms in Google, Apple, and across the States. He has a potential reach of 10 million people. So actually I wasn't going to do it. It's typical, eh? On Saturday, I'm busy. Doing what? Maybe hunting. And my wife told me about it and said, I'm sure you'll do the right thing, Brian. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And I did. I always was going to do it. And I'll do something here, and I'll bring that in because it's really important, because I'll just prep you. It's so good to see you all here today, and all of the iwi tapus, or the satellite ministries that are part of this church around the country in Australia. I know my son tries to get a bit of this before Australia follows us. Of course, New Zealand's first in the world. Australia's it comes in second. And the rest of the world comes in a long, distant third, fourth, and last. Some of them are still not in the same day. What do you call that? Okay. All right. I want to talk about a few things with you that will help you enter into a place of being able to know what you are going to get. Because sometimes if you don't, you can't get it. You don't get it, and you won't get it. So I want to help you. Is that okay? Of course it is. And it'll mean a lot to you, right? So I'm going to just read a couple of scriptures to you because I'm not allowed to preach about anything but the thing. I've been preaching it everywhere in Nelson. We had a mini conference already on the remnant and whatever else, but because I always look for more. If I give out, I get back. So I've got more for us, don't worry. I want to talk about this great shift, or it was a small shift first. It was a shift from here, physically. We all heard about it, and apart from the media trying to twist it into something, getting the boot, it wasn't. We always knew that this was a temporary, it started, well, it's 12 years, isn't it? 12 years on a lease basis. Because when we first shifted here, it was a great spot. We were fortunate to get it. We sold the building we had in an all right place. And the guy was great. He said, look, you can buy this for 22 million. And I said, is that all? Well, obviously we couldn't buy it. And at that time, but he said, look, I just love what you're doing. Let's just do a lease agreement, lease to buy in the future, but I'll protect you. And he loved the school. Isn't that interesting? He's not a Christian person, but he loved the school. He loved the way that we were reaching out to what he thought were people who basically didn't have the privilege or the access to great education. He's talking about Māori and Pacific. And Destiny School has always been a dream, it still is. I want it to go strong. Every Destiny parent should be putting their children through early childhood in Destiny Church and the school. Because my experiment has worked. When I said that what they don't get in state schools, what you do get in state schools is not all good. And I see we've proved that. People used to boo-hoo that, but now they're trying to pervert our students with all sorts of, you know all about it, eh? But I've always believed the program called the actual extracurricular, which was the tripartite part of the program, body, soul and spirit, or spirit, soul and body, that I introduced myself, that I wanted to help and assist parents, because parents are still the mainstay of education. It's the first place of education, not schools. And parents are parents. So in other words, the state or the government should never teach your children. And neither should any other organisation, I don't care who it is. Parents are first teachers in the home, long before they hit 5-year-old entering school. So most of your children have got attitudes formed. They know that about God, right? And they know that their parents are committed to the house of God. So you teach them habits early, and in their formative years, around about from 0 to 7, 12 is a mature adult, I think, in Israel. But those are the formative years. So you're either going to set them up to win easier in life if you do it right, or they're going to be disqualified and all their lives struggle if in those formative years you mess it up. All right? It's okay? It's worth $1 million right there. So to assist parents, I'm just saying the value of that and how bad the parenting is in this world today. It's collapsed, I'm telling you. Too many children don't honour their parents. And half the time I wonder if the parents deserve that dishonour. They haven't always been that good. But at the same time, the children don't know if you honour your parents even when they didn't do right, it's still a blessing to you of long life. Everything is bound up in that family. Health, wealth, God has provided for it already. And the generational family, so you're supposed to be actually tutoring, educating, blessing, and loving and teaching your kids through your children to your grandchildren, and thereby touching your great-grandchildren. I know what I'm talking about. I have a 5-generational family. They're all saved, and they're all in the same church, this movement. The eldest just died, my father, 90. My mother's still alive. She's about 88, 89. And we go right down to Hannah and I, the eldest of that family. I want to repeat this. We have 3 grown adults. One of them is pastoring in Gold Coast. The other 2 are serving in this house with their spouses. My 10 grandchildren are all happily bouncing around in God and learning. Then the House of Destiny, and my 5 great-grandchildren. I think I got a few hints. That's why I've released a book coming up in this conference, calling it something like, I think it's giving families the edge in this life, in this world, in a dangerous world, raising great families. And I've put most of my experience in there, and you'll see it works. As somebody who's done it. Anybody can have a couple of kids and try and raise them and say that they've got experience to pass on. That's what's expected of you. That's just the expectation that you should be able to look after your first row of kids. No, I'm talking about the next generation. How divided grandparents are from their grandchildren is disgusting. And in saying that, how divided fathers and mothers are from their own children. We still have great family times, big meal times, big gatherings in my big family. And all of this comes down to Christ being in the center of it. No wonky religious ways, because kids run from that. And what's the use to gain the whole world and to lose your own family? Well, that's my quote. It's supposed to be to gain the whole world and lose your soul. Well, the family really is the soul of your life, isn't it? I don't do this to make people feel bad. Don't feel bad about it. I'm here, and Hannah and I, to share that with you. And on this journey, you had the privilege for Destiny Church to have a leader that has all his children serving God, and his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren. So if there's any seminars going on about families around this place, or government wants some advice, they should really come and see me. But then I don't think I'd give it to them. I'd make them come to church and sit in the front row or the second row. All the agencies I would. Because you know why? They won't come to church. So you don't give your pearls before? Okay. Things I hunt. Pigs. All right. Jesus said all that. Simple. Yeah. But to you, it's been given to you to have the treasures of the kingdom. Now, I shall proceed. The shift wasn't anything to do with the building. Why would a national television news of any country talk about a church shifting buildings? There's no sense in that, except that you've got to come to the conclusion, whether you like it or not, and I know what it is, because there's something about this movement. They know how dangerous it is to their evil plans. Destiny Church is a threat to everything bad, evil, and satanic. And if it's anti-Christ, anti-Semitic, and if it's anti-Christians in church, you better be scared of me. You better be scared of us. You better be scared of God. It's wicked. They've put it up there because they know something that a lot of Christians don't know. Demons are pretty educated when it comes to observing Christians in churches over the years that they've watched and worked with. I've told you before, from ancient times in the Old Testament, they've had more experience about how God works with his people than recent Christians. And the last recent is, to me, is about a 30-year-old Christian. 40. Let's use 40. So a 40-year-old Christian still does not have the knowledge of a street demon hanging outside a club or a bar, waiting to jump into the next victim. So let me tell you, they know that this wasn't a shift of a building. This was a lethal advance. It was a power shift. Nothing to do with buildings, but everything about coming into a new season of God. That's what it was about. It's a power shift because there's going to be a power transfer. You don't go to a new season without getting new power. And so that was all great when I got that. I thought, oh, yes, Lord, I've been waiting for this all my life. I've been waiting for this. And he says, yeah, well, you need to prepare my people. Because unless they understand this, it can go right over top of you. And I said, I understand that. And that's why I did start to open up the envelope down in the South Island, the top of it, Nelson. I had to do that. So that stuff came through there. It was awesome doing it. I loved it. I was in my mojo and it all came out. It could have been the Matariki weekend done there. But I knew that God wanted me to do that because it was important. Because if you had have picked up some of the stuff and listened, you would have got it. It starts to prepare you. That moves you up the scale very quickly, you know. It's all about, it's a whole lot of stuff. I don't want to just piecemeal it now, but there's never been the focus on the resurrection. And that's all there was from the early church and the apostles after they had their meeting or their encounter with the resurrected brand new human God called Jesus Christ. Everything changed with the resurrected brand new human God called Jesus Christ. Everything changed. That's the first thing the apostles said. They were witnesses. And 1 Corinthians 12:28 can sit up there for a moment. And so when God appoints a church, not man. And this is what I shared strongly with Adnan. When he got me on, he said, I got you on because he lifted up my book. And it was Apostles Are the Answer to the World. In his off time, he told me that book so impacted him. He said, where did this come from? How did you get this? And this is all my books, because I went through all my books again, and he said it yesterday. He said, you're ahead of time. And I said, darn, that's not so good, because it's hard for something to be ingested when it's ahead of your time, because it requires you to believe. You have to have faith to believe it. Usually people like to get something after the fact. It's easy to believe after you see it, after it's happened, but then so much is lost. And there's no gain in you trying to gain hindsight information. I want revelatory insight. No, you're not with me. Do you understand what I'm saying? So here's a rebuke for me. I picked up my own book from my own experience and opened the thing, and I couldn't believe what I was reading. I said, my God, who wrote this? And I had a look. Oh my gosh, it's me. And I'm reading through it, and I said, this stuff is still not out there, and yet it's blowing me away. All the answers are in here for, in fact, I got embarrassed and I grabbed my other book called Sons of Thunder, and I started to read, and I said, oh my gosh, that's what's going to be happening on that month, on that week, on that weekend. Oh my gosh. And I thought, are we going backwards? No, this was so far ahead. This was saying everything about what's happening. So it was prophetic. So we're talking about don't listen to politicians, don't listen to the media, don't listen to false prophets, don't listen to mates and opinions, don't listen to social media. You've got to listen to the prophetic voice that comes out of the church. That's where you get your guidance from God. Oh, sorry about that. It was a bit of an outburst. Now, right. So here's this power shift. Get it? The power shift is going to happen on the end of this year. But mid-year, that's when it's going to come upon the movement. We'll all be here and some more. Because whether you like it or they know it or not, or whether they like it or not, this is going to be a reference point on the earth for a whole new entrance into the new place for the church of the world. That's what it is. You know, God always sends a prototype. Here we go. It's called what? Proton. First. Proton in Greek means first. First country of the world. We're even 3 hours ahead of Australia. And the rest of the world is sleeping while we're here and we're sweeping it up in the spirit right now. And so what we are speaking hits the airwaves first. I mean, here, the voice of God, the praises of the people, your affirmation of faith begins to rise in the spiritual atmosphere in the world, and it begins to go around the world. It heads it. So Adnan said, man, he said, I just want to talk to you. I've got a 30-minute block. That's a big block. I said, wow. We finished in 45 minutes. And he said, oh, it's 45 minutes. And so I said, oh, yeah, I know. How was that? He said, it felt like 5 minutes. And I said, yeah. That's the speed of revelation. Time goes out the window. You only have time frames because it's boring. When somebody's boring talking. A revelation, you come out of the church, you think, oh, gee, that was an hour long. And you say, I didn't notice it. So you're in touch. The other person was asleep. I have a few in my church. Hurts me. No, it's not you I'm talking to, is it? It's your neighbour. All right. But this is true. This is true. The speed of light or the speed of sound. The church out there is speed of sound. There's speed of light. Light travels faster than sound. Information. It's revelation. Look, let's get into the great power shift will lead to the great power transfer. Transfer means moving goods or substance or something from one person to another person. Yeah. From one place to another place. Yeah. You got it? Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Okay. So what we're talking about, you're coming in, so you'll walk into it. Some of you will be attentive. Is this, you know? Others will just rush in and say, I want it now, you know. Faith gets you to enter the door. You can do it today by the time we finish. All right? What you're entering into is now a place where you validate yourself for a transfer. So you might say, how's this all working? It's working like this, and I'm going to help you with this. The great power shift. That's why we're shifting. God got my attention. I would never have got it until he rattled us in the place, the building. You're shifting. And it caused a little bit of panic. I wasn't panicked in it. I wasn't. No, I'm not saying people panic. They say that my team, administrative team, got to move. I said, don't worry. At the very least, we can have a great big tent. Or we just disperse through all of the city and preach and teach and cast out devils, and then come back and meet in the square in the middle of Auckland. It was always, you know, they're looking at me like, you know, there's always those sort of options. Peace. Peace is one of your most powerful weapons in your possession. It's a weapon. What do you mean? Well, peace will dissolve your anxiety. Peace quickly sends fear packing. Stops you from panicking. Fear makes you trust God. In the middle of a storm, you're just peaceful. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Cool. Right now, I've got to do this. Everything could be coming around you, breaking down. You're not allowed to let the storm seep into you. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Cool. Right now, I've got to do this. Everything could be coming around you, breaking down. appoints these. This is when God builds a church, right? And it says there, appoints these. This is when God builds a church, right? And it says there, he says, God appoints these in the church. For the life of me, I've read this many times. I've done pastors' meetings, they still don't get it. I've done pastors' meetings, they still don't get it. First, is it? It's behind me. I don't need to say it. I know it so well now. The word first is proton. Did you know they just discovered? I saw it on X the other day. They've just discovered a new way to, in the medical profession, and apparently it's going to be breaking news. It's got laser. It's used by laser, and it's called proton laser therapy. I just finished telling the Nelson Church before this came out. This was before this was knowledge. They may have been working on it. But I talked about resurrection power torching cancer, arthritis, and other sicknesses. There is nothing more radiant or radiation like than resurrection spirit. The spirit of resurrection restores dead cells. A rotting heart or liver, or nothing of that left and just bones, it raises it out of the ground and can raise it up again. Just ask our friend Ezekiel, can these bones live? And he says, I don't know about this. And God says, prophesy, speak to the bones. Jesus' body was resurrected. We have not, the church, Christians have not tapped in revelatory or deep enough into the power of the resurrection. What does the resurrection really mean to Christians will be fully blown lid on the weekend. All right? I don't know how I can contain it, really, to be honest, but it's powerful. But for here and now, I want you to see something, and I had to do this because Adnan must have been an urge by God. He was hunting me down for a while. I don't know why. But when he pulled that book up and said, this, I want you to talk about this. And I said, it's my favorite subject. Why? Because that's what I am. I've been living the